I know I have been really anxious about this next presentation. I've been really looking forward to it. So let me jump into introducing you to our next speaker, Vikrant Shukla. Vikrant is currently a cloud solution architect in Adobe. He manages the APAC region as a CSA supporting partners and merchants. He has been working with Adobe for the past 2 years. He's a certified Magento solution specialist and AWS certified solution architect associate. He started his own Magento agency back in 2015, which was then acquired in 2018. Finally, Vikrant has over 15 years of experience in technology, programming, mentoring, and delivering successful enterprise Magento projects. Before I pass you on to Vikrant, his amazing presentation, I just would like to say that what you're going to hear is the thoughts basically of someone that has been involved with Magento since its inception. However, they don't represent the views of their employer, and they're only Vikrant's views. So without any further delays, please welcome Vikrant.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot, Anastasia, for this wonderful welcome. And I'm glad to be part of Meet Magento UK again this year. Namaste to everyone from India. And it's quite late in India, but I am really happy, excited to be part and speaking in Meet Magento UK event again this year for the second time. So my topic today is going to be very interesting, which is who moved my Magento. It will actually represent, I'm just trying to make a comparison between a very beautiful book, which I have read a couple of times in my life. And I hope you might have. If you have not, I would really want you to read this book maybe tomorrow itself. These are just very small pages, but this book helps you understand about the changes in life. Before that, I have been introduced, but I'll just take a moment to say a few more words about myself. Anything and everything that you are hearing in this session is from a guy who has been working on Magento since November 2007, before its official release. And the views are totally mine and does not represent the views of my employer. So these are all community, or let's say something close from my heart, which I have seen and felt across the years about Magento. And I have heard this question a lot in last, let's say 14 plus years, who moved my Magento? So introduction is already done. Will like to very quickly add that I am very active member and organizer of multiple Magento meetup event in India. I love speaking on e-commerce. I'm an e-commerce evangelist. The community loves me and calls me by Super Mage Man, and you can always reach out to me on my Twitter handles. And I'm a proud father of 1 human and 4 furry babies. I really want to call them out. So yeah, pets, they are very important. They teach you a lot about humanity and change in your life. So in today's session, we would be talking about the introduction. I'll just try to introduce you to the book, and I'll try to make a resemblance between the book and how the Magento has evolved. We would try to see, was the cheese really moving? Was Magento really moving, or has it suddenly moved, which somewhere has created some kind of a, let's say, word in the community that Magento has moved. But did you notice that move? What has moved so far? And who moved the cheese? The most important question. And what are the takeaway, which I feel we should all take away from my talk? So introduction to the book, I would just want you to see this slide and see how we are going to relate this book to Magento. So the book "Who Moved My Cheese" was written by Dr. Spencer Johnson, and it has got 4 characters. There are 2 mices and there are 2 humans, 2 little humans, we can say. The story is based in a maze wherein all four of them live on cheese. The sniff and scurry are the mices, and they represent the simple part in humans, whereas how and hem and how are two humans who represent the human side of fear and anxiety. We sometimes behave as sniff, wherein we look ahead, we anticipate change, but we are not running towards change. We are not yet ready for change, and we just anticipate it, but we want someone to lead us into the change. Then there are someone like scurries who actually want to take the change with their head. They want to run toward change, bump into it, feel it at the very first moment, enjoy the feeling of change, and then move ahead by adopting it. Hem are those people who are very resistant to change, and they're really very fearful of what the change can do to them. It's not that they don't want the change to happen. It's just that they're not mentally prepared to accept the challenges the change will bring in their life. And then there are people like How who learn to adopt in life when something is changing. These are people who are kind of late adopters. These people also resemble very closely into our change graph, like early adopter, late adopters, middle adopters, and so on and so forth. So, why did I choose this topic? The reason is Adobe recently named Magento Commerce as Adobe Commerce. And people felt something changed. Something was moved. The cheese was moved. They didn't realize the cheese was always moving. I'll show you how. These are the next slides. Was the cheese moving? Yes, the cheese was moving since day one. With that, I want to bring you to a very kind of a populated slide which talks a lot, which has a lot of sentences, but I'll read them out for you. How did Magento established? Roy Robin and Yvonne actually started a project called Variant when they were attending UCLA. In 2007, they started putting a lot of Google AdWords, and they landed up into a large contract, which actually funded the Magento framework. Variant, which was the name that was established, released its first product as an open source license in 2008. I remember I started using Magento as a beta version back in 2007. And when it was launched in 31st March 2008, our company was very happy, the company that I was working in, that we had a very successful product, which was soon going to, let's say, overtake OS Commerce. And due to its highly customizable nature, it was very popular. And I can say that because I was the one who was kind of allocated in my company to research between then established OS Commerce, VirtueMart, I don't know how many of you know about that name, a Joomla-based e-commerce system, and Magento, and then PrestaShop, and then a lot more, Xcart. And then we went ahead with Magento. The name Magento was taken from the color magenta, and there is a history behind it. Later in 2010, Variant named the company as Magento because Magento now was more popular than the parent company. February 2011, eBay actually kind of took the ownership with 49% share stake in the company, and they later acquired the company as they were actually part of the PayPal integration, and they wanted to directly integrate PayPal with it. Back in those days, I really heard the thing, who moved our Magento. We then had a lot of conferences, and the Magento community started getting alive in 2011 with its very first Magento conference, which we used to call Magento Imagine. And it used to run. In 2015, when there was a split between PayPal and eBay, Magento was taken up by a new company called Premier Private Equity, 2015. Again, I heard this question, who moved my Magento? 2016, we saw a new enterprise edition coming across, which was the PaaS platform. 2017, again, the community and the enterprise were renamed as Magento Open Source and Community Editions. 2018 was the year when Adobe acquired Magento for $1.68 billion. And the aim was, or let's say the view was, to integrate with Adobe Experience Cloud and then integrate it with all the Adobe platforms. I again heard the question, who moved my Magento? 2019, fast forward, we integrated it with all the Adobe suites, and 2021, we renamed Adobe Magento Commerce as Adobe Commerce. Again, I heard the question, who moved my Magento? So the question has been persistent. The movement has always been there. It's about whether you were realizing the movement or not. There's a very quick graphical representation. Some of you might feel nostalgic about it. Some of you, I call myself, I and Talesh, we call ourselves from the Dinosaur Age of Magento, wherein we remember all these color changes and all these logo changes. And these were the changes that, that Magento has been going through across all these years. And then continuing with that in 2015, 2016, 2018, when Magento and Adobe Commerce Company, 2020, Adobe Magento Commerce, and then going into Magento Commerce. The question is, who moved the Magento? I'll get back to that question. Before that, I really want to talk what was really moved and how has it impacted Magento and Magento community overall. For this, I want to bring you to this slide. Maybe you might have, some of you might have seen this slides in past, but this slide actually speaks about the maturity this platform has. The slide speaks about how now Magento, which was a very small initiative and an initiative that was actually presented and came across from community, is now a very powerful solution. So Magento now can cater from basic to enterprise cutting edge technologies. It has got inbuilt integration with some of the most powerful tools available, at least on this planet. When I can say about the commerce, the content management, personalization, and analytics, marketing, and so on and so forth. So based on the customer's maturity graph, you can utilize, you can use the power of Magento inbuilt with some of the out of box, or let's say the enriched tools that Adobe provides. Magento was always a superior platform compared to its competitors since its inception. And again, I have heard this theory of PHP dying, Magento is a dying technology, and so on and so forth, a lot of times in my career. Believe me, I started my career with Magento. I'm still with Magento, and I think I will grow old with Magento, right? But I have heard this many a time, but this is not a dying technology, and it is about evolution. It is about being the sniffy and scurry in your life, about identifying the changes in your life. If you are not one of them who are anticipating change or who want to meet the change heads on, at least be a hem in your life who, when the change comes, is ready to adopt to it, because change is what makes us sustainable. We need to remember Darwin's theory, which says survival of the fittest, and you can only be fit if you are changing yourself with time. Magento, which now is Adobe Commerce, comes with some of very powerful tools like page builders, PWA Studio, and can integrate with one of the most powerful CMS, or let's say content management system available on this globe, Adobe Experience Manager using SIP integration framework. The out-of-box integration between Adobe Stock, let's say Adobe DAM, Adobe Creative Cloud, and Prototype, and AEM now makes Magento a very powerful solution. Isn't this the change that we always want in Magento? Didn't we want Magento to have everything inbuilt with wherein we can have the best-in-class solution out of box with Magento? Yes, we did that. And that is why Magento changed, and we are seeing this now happening when it came under the roof of Adobe. Moving forward, Adobe has a very aggressive, or let's say a very interesting plan around how the commerce extensibility strategy is going to work. So we are moving from a monolithic structure to, let's say, headless or a web service-based structure, wherein everything would be driven by web services. And this is the future. And for that, we have got inbuilt the solutions like Adobe I/O, which will provide you with the extensibility platform. I know I don't need to go much deeper into these slides, the reason being that there has been a lot of presentation about Adobe I/O, the product roadmap, the some of the great presentation wherein the cost of ownership was discussed, as in how the cost of ownership goes low with Adobe Commerce Cloud. So on a high level, I'll say that the future is always where we want it to go. And that is what we as Magento community have been striving for. And that is what we are moving towards the future. And that is how the cheese is moving. But let me remind you, it was always moving. If you did not realize it, I'm sorry to say you were hemmed. But if you realized it upfront, let's say someone like me, then you were scurry who always wanted to meet this change heads up. Or let's say if you were just assuming that the change can come, you were sniff. Most of you, or let's say I wish every one of you are at least hem, who when the change comes, realizes it and is ready to accept it and change accordingly. And this is the reason why we wanted to do this. Now, Adobe Commerce is a platform which actually is actually visualizing your digital shopping life cycle end to end. You can have all the required, let's say, instrument tools to fulfill your digital roadmap using Adobe Commerce Cloud and Adobe Creative Cloud. You can integrate with the analytics, you can integrate with the campaigns, you market to Adobe Commerce, you can actually have AEM, you can cater by post, you can cater post systems, you can have blogs, you can have depersonalization, all backed by Adobe Commerce, which is powered by Magento. If you go to magento.com, you will see it saying Adobe Commerce powered by Magento. So let's remember the word powered by Magento whenever it comes to commerce. And this is where the cheese has moved. The learning has evolved. If you see on left, again, it's not very old, but many of you might remember that was the old snapshot, or let's say the website of Magento University, which has now evolved into Adobe Digital Learning Solutions. And the cost of certification also have come down. There has been a lot of changes. Now, in order to protect the security of extension developer, you cannot download the zip of the extensions. It's only composer based, which makes life of a developer and the company producing all these extensions much easier. And the security is also taken care of. Similarly, the Adobe learning experience. The learning experience has evolved a lot, and you can actually now do a lot of certification at lesser cost. So the important question is, the most important question is, who moved the cheese? Let's say, as I said, who moved Magento? Any guesses? Okay, no worries. It's you. It's you. It's the Magento community. It's the people like you who moved it. It's your zeal. It's your enthusiasm. It's your eagerness to make this platform one of the best platforms available on this globe. It's you who moved it. It's the people like Vinay, William, who are coming up with latest solutions like Have themes. It's the people who are continuously contributing on Adobe, on Magento GitHub, fixing bugs, doing community, let's say, contributions. It's people like you who are selflessly, eagerly willing to help others on LinkedIn's, on WhatsApps, on whatnot, Telegram platforms. It's the Magento community who have moved this Magento. Why do I say this? The reason is, without your zeal, without our collective effort, without our willingness to help grow this platform, without any selfless benefits, it would not have come to a stage wherein Adobe would have seen it and found it worth to be acquired. It's people like you. And what changes has it brought to you? Let me talk from the development standpoint. The developers are getting a lot of new opportunities in, let's say, blue chip companies. I remember the days wherein people used to say that, hey, you're not from .NET, you're not from Java, you're from PHP, and you're doing Magento. Oh God, that's a dying technology. But today, I see the likes of Accenture, Capgemini, Deloitte, PwC, whatnot company, spreading all their money and throwing all their arms to bring Magento resources. The agencies, they have now got the exposure to grow into Adobe product cultures, and they can now build a pipeline, or let's say build themselves for Adobe services. So it is you who have moved the cheese. And I, someone who is kind of, again, I say, a religious follower and developer, and grown across my life with Magento, I'm thankful to Magento community for moving the cheese. What are my takeaways, or what do I want you to take away from these slides? I would say, let's be sniffy and scurry in our lives, because we want, it's not just about Magento. We really want, we know life is always about change. And my personal, let's say, motivation or suggestion would be to accept the change straightforward and be ready for it. It's important to remember that we, Magento community, are responsible for the changes that has happened and where we are today. If something changes, be like how and adopt. Right? Adobe Commerce is a place where we all want Magento to be eventually best in the breed, best in the class, and best e-commerce platform available. And one last, let's say not a quote, but just a statement. Change has brought opportunities for all of us. Often the opportunity is dressed as hard work. It's important to grab, and it's important to realize and grab it. With that, I end my talk today. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you can take away some of the positive things from this talk. I would love to hear your comments about my talk, and how you are looking forward to the changes that are happening around. And believe me, be the sniffy and scurry in your life. Thank you.
Such a powerful message there for our speakers. Thank you so much for your presentation. I would like to ask you a couple of questions, if that's okay. So how should Magento developers take this change and prepare themselves for the next big thing that is coming for Magento?
Great question. So basically, I would recommend them to be very much aligned towards the product roadmap that Adobe is bringing forward. Again, you need to be ready for the changes, and change is evolution is necessary, right? Without evolution, nothing happens. We would have been cavemen if we would not have evolved across a lot of years so far, right? So you need to understand how Adobe is planning its product, be ready for those evolution, keep yourself updated. I think that's the best thing Magento community have done so far, and that is the only thing that can keep us all on our toes. I just want to call out one more thing. The recent change in the certification is another example of a powerful change that has happened. You don't want a 5 years or let's say 7 years old certified guy to come and say that, hey, I'm a Magento certified guy and I want to work on your project, because in 5 years, world changes. So change is important, and the developers, they need to stay on their toes. They need to be very close to the product alignment. The best thing since Adobe has come in the picture, you now know the product roadmap every quarter. So you know what is going to come next, and you can be prepared for that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And one more question from me. What should be the strategy for Magento agencies with these evolving situations?
Yeah, absolutely. So great question again. So basically, what the agencies can done, and this comes from someone who have run his agency, started his agency, sold his agency. I think the most important thing is to understand where the product is evolving and align your resources accordingly. The reason why I say so is the product defines the market, and the market defines the product. So it's kind of a vice versa. But for agencies, it's very important to align to the product roadmap. For example, as I said in my slide, there is a good initiative around Project Firefly, and Adobe I/O being one of the important aspect in the extensibility framework. So the agencies should start looking at those new products, because tomorrow, let's say, if those become an essential part of the product, the agencies should not come and say, who moved my cheese?
Absolutely. And I think one final question is, where do you think the cheese is heading next? Is it going to be a headless cheese?
Absolutely. It's going to be headless cheese, and that is what you might have seen in the roadmap presentations across the day. So PWA is the forefront, AEM is the content. The content would be the AEM's responsibility, commerce would be Magento's responsibility, analytics and campaigns and marketers are integrated as and when required. But we all know microservices, headless is the way forward.
That is brilliant. Thank you so very much, Vikrant. That was an excellent presentation and so insightful. And at this point, since I cannot see any more questions coming our end, I would like to say again a very big thank you to Vikrant for being with us today.